All right, so just to kind of continue with the story a little bit. One of the problems that happened with Chris was, like I said, I've been alienated, I've been isolated. You know, for a long time, ever since, for a long time, I wanted to explain to my dad about the shoe weight machine. I never got a chance. I never got to talk to him. And it really was a shooting machine. If it wasn't for the shooting machine, none of the problems would have happened. None of the fights would have happened. And that's the problem. Is my grandpa came in and he's like, "Oh, what the problem is," and he tried to make things so complicated. Oh, it's because trying to make things happen, and if you just let things be in the flow and blah blah blah. No, it was just a shoot away machine. Everything was great. I was a great player, great shooter. The only fights that happened with me and my dad was we're trying to fix my shot, and we didn't know it was a shooting machine. And my dad tried to fix it, and he told me to do the wrong thing. Because, and it wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for the shooting machine. I was shooting regular good, even with the shooting machine at the beginning, but my point, though, is that, it's just stupid. Then my grandpa comes up with this idea, oh, no talk about the past, because if you're in the flow, there's no talk about the past. And then when I tried to, get back in contact with my mom and dad, my mom's like, no, your dad's never going to talk to you. Don't you remember how you behaved in the past? With the, in high school. And I'm like, well, yeah. And then I tried to explain to her, it's because the shooting machine. Oh, it wasn't the shooting machine. You don't take any responsibility. Using my grandpa's thing, take responsibility and why are you talking about the past? Don't talk about the past. But I'm the one who's trying to move on. They're the ones who are stuck in the past. They're stuck with the bad version. I'm the one who wants to, rekindle a relationship with my parents, but they don't want to because they're stuck in the past. I'm not stuck in the past. I just want them to know it's not a problem with me. It was a shoot-away machine that messed things up. But, basically, so then it led to all these problems, when they forced me to go to Kauai. That's when I started, writing all that stuff on Facebook and online, because I was trying to, I was calling out for help, and I was confused, and I wanted to get basketball videos of when I was younger, but my mom and dad were like, oh, we're not going to help you. Why are you stuck in the past? You see, this is why you're schizophrenic. You're stuck in the past. I wasn't schizophrenic. I didn't have any mental illness. I just wanted, I wanted to get the videos so I could fix my shot, and also I wanted to study the swag flow, which I had lost in college, And this is the thing is, people make assumptions that they'll see me and they'll be like, oh, well, this guy must have been a loser his whole life. No, that's what people will think. Oh, he was a loser his whole life. He must have always been hated by his parents. No, my parents loved me. My parents treated me like, if anything, they spoiled me my whole life. It was because of the shoot-away machine that this stuff happened. And then that's when I lost the swag flow too, was because, after, I had tried to tell my mom and dad to help me get the quadrant model out my freshman year of college. This is the one time I saw them. And then they believed I was schizophrenic when I wasn't. They didn't understand the quadrant model. So, and then I tried to get their help, and then they wouldn't help me. And then I wanted to, and then they basically abandoned me. And then I lost a lot of my basketball videos. And then when I was trying to get back into basketball and I was studying my videos, that's when I noticed the swag flow. And that's when I lost the swag flow, because I never realized how I moved, So, things just fell apart. And like I say, I think a big aspect of it is the alienation from my family abandoning me. And I feel like my grandpa didn't help with that. My grandpa made things worse. And then, when I tried to see my grandpa was like, oh, well, Ryan really needs his independence. No, I didn't. Well, that's why he's developed the quadrant model, because he really wants independence. And he's using the quadrant model to try to stay dependent on his mom and dad. It's a strategy. It's an ego strategy, because he has a fragile ego to stay dependent on his mom and dad. No, I actually discovered the theory of everything. So he made things worse, So, I'm trying to get, I don't want independence. I want help. And then my mom and dad are like, oh, yeah, make Ryan independent. That's what he wants. We'll have nothing to do with him. So it's like, and then things just spiraled out of control from there. But my point, though, is too, people will assume like, oh, this guy must have always been a loser. First off, I discovered the theory of everything. And then, yeah, I lost the swag flow. But then, people are going to see me without the swag flow and all that, and they're going to assume that I'm just a loser and shit, and they're going to fucking, treat me like shit, which is what's been going on for the last many years. I discovered theory of everything, but I've been treated like shit. So, and I want to get basketball videos when I was younger. I want to study the videos and stuff. I want to get the swag flow back. I want to do all that, But, I want to study that stuff. But, so my point, though, is, so people, and then and I think out of all this has all this tragedy has occurred, the stuff with Katie. like I said, I don't think that all that stuff would have happened if my mom and dad would have just seen me and seen Katie and talked to us and stuff. And even with Chris, I wanted to introduce my parents to Chris. I asked my mom, can we please go to Texas and, you can meet Chris and stuff. And my mom was like, no, I'm not going to do that. We're never going to see you. It's not going to happen. Stop trying to make things happen. Because again, she's stuck in the past. She's stuck in the basketball thing when I tried to make things happen because I was trying to fix my shot. I was trying to get my dad to help me. And my dad was helping me, but, it was a tragedy. But then my grandpa comes in, you just can't make things happen. You just can't force things. He didn't know it was a shoot-away machine. He was like, it's just because you're trying to force things. He just thought I was a bad basketball player, And he just thought I was trying to make things happen. No, it was a shoot-away machine. If it wasn't for the shoot-away machine, none of that shit would have happened. But then my grandpa's like, so my mom's like, no, you can't make things happen. It's not going to happen. You have to accept it. Because my grandpa at that time, in high school was like, you have to accept, if your parents don't want to, if your dad doesn't want to help you fix your shot. So that's when all the contempt for me occurred, in high school. And then, there was nothing wrong with me. It was a shoot-away machine, dude. So, but anyways, so at that point, but then people are cutting up assumptions. So like my friends telling me like, I was talking to my friends and they're talking about the whole Katie situation. Cause Katie had started to hang out with all those hippies and stuff, right? She started to become friends with the hippies. And then he's like, yeah, they're all talking about how you're a piece of shit. And like, like what's wrong with this guy and stuff. And I'm like, dude, I discovered the fucking theory of everything. I did big stuff. When I was younger, I had fan clubs of girls all the way up through high school. Because I had Crazy Swag Flow, but I lost it because I became aware of it. But I had fan clubs of girls. I was the fucking man. And now all these people are fucking looking down on me, and I discovered the theory of everything. What kind of bullshit is this? So it's pissing me off. And then he's like, yeah, all these people are talking shit about you. And I'm like, dude. So when I was with Chris, I actually liked that because I wanted to show people like, hey, I'm not the problem. Look, I have a new girlfriend, And apparently people were saying like, people were talking about how my situation with Katie and how she got, and all the crazy stuff that happened. And they're like, Ryan, you must be, they're making assumptions about me. They think I must be crazy. They don't know the whole fucking situation. They didn't know about what was going on and all the dynamics in that situation, how I was abandoned by my family and how, what was going on during that pregnancy and all that. And they're trying to make me out to be the bad guy, but it's more complex than that. I'm not the fucking bad guy. There's more complexities to that shit. So I'm like, these people are talking shit. So when I was with Chris, I was like, good. Now I'll show that I'm not the bad guy. Look, I have a new girlfriend. And look, and she's even, so I took Chris to like a party with, I took her to hang out with a Johnny and we went to these Jewish people. And again, these Jewish people are anti-white. They're like, doing drugs. They're anti-society, anti-white. They're with the Johnny. So they like black people. They're saying anti-white stuff. Like, oh, he's one of the Jewish guys was gay guy. The other one was just like this Jewish lady. They're very rich, but they're like, oh yeah, but we're so rich because we manifested and, but anyways, these people are fucking all mentally ill, all these fuckers, and all these people are doing drugs, So, but again, I wanted to also show Chris like, hey, look, I have cool friends because I had studied that book, Mate. It was called Mate, where it says like, girls like to have a guy who has good social approbation and good social circle and it represents good genes. And that's what girls really like. So, but I didn't have a good social circle. I had been alienated and all the shit that happened had got me more alienated. And it's a spiral, So I took Chris to meet, these people. But then, the fucking assholes, these Jewish people, they're offering Chris fucking ketamine. And at the time, I thought that Chris might have been pregnant. So I was like, I didn't know if she was pregnant, but we had been having unprotected sex. So I told him, no, she's pregnant. And then Chris was like, yeah, I'm pregnant. But I lied at that time, but technically she actually was pregnant. But, at the time we didn't really know if she was pregnant, but I was like, no, she's pregnant. Don't give her any ketamine. I was like, what the fuck, but then when Chris, like a couple weeks later, then she went to the doctors and the doctor said that she had she went to the emergency room and she had a late implantation and stuff. That's when I was freaking out. And I was like, Chris, you shouldn't have been fucking smoking the weed. You shouldn't have been doing the cigarettes. I told you not to do that. But I was, I should have been more gentle with how I did that. I did that over the text messages. And I was like, I want to talk to your doctor and see if but I was like, I want to talk to the doctor and see if there's going to be any problems with the baby. But if there is going to be problems, I do want you to have an abortion. If there isn't, then no. But I don't want to have a drug baby. And I'm not for abortions, you know. I'm not for that. But I was thinking, if it's because of you, mistakes that you made that could have not been made with doing drugs, then yes, I would want an abortion. But then Chris is all mad at me, and she's you know, and then she's trying to mischaracterize me, like, you just want me to have an abortion. I'm like, no, I don't want you to have an abortion. I want to talk to your doctor. She's like, no, you're not going to talk to my doctor. And then, you know, she always had problems. She always was a little bit mentally unstable. And I can go into details about that, but I'm not going to, because I want to be gentle for her. But she was, you know, she had mental, you know, and again, she was disrespecting me again, because I think that she, you know, she was assuming, like, I didn't make these videos at the time. So, and that's a part of the reason, like I said, why I made these videos, so she could understand my family situation. But she's assuming, like everybody assumes, like, oh, well, if you're alienated, you must have caused it yourself. They're going to blame the victim. Like, oh, so she, you know, she's treating me with disrespect, because she's like, well, your family doesn't talk to you. You have shitty friends, you know, you must like disrespect, or you must be a piece of shit. So she was already disrespecting me a little bit, you know, and not treating me right. And it was a sad situation, you know. She was doing weed, and she didn't, you know, she's young and dumb. She doesn't realize the repercussions and the consequences that can happen when you do things that aren't good, you know, like smoking weed. But, you know, in her mind, she's like, well, it's legal, and this is why the whole fucking society's bullshit, you know, is falling apart, because, you know, things like weed, which used to be, you know, people used to recognize, hey, there's problems with smoking weed. Now everyone's like, no, it's legal, it's fine. So she's like, what? You know, it's not a big deal if I smoke a little weed. It helps me with my stress. And then she has a fucking, you know, late implantation. So I'm pissed off at her about that. But the thing was, because I wanted to show everybody, like, hey, look, I'm not the problem. You know, I wasn't the problem in the Katie thing. Like, my friends were saying that the people were talking shit about me. I was like, hey, look, I have a new girl pregnant. I have a new girlfriend. So I was making some posts on Facebook, and I shouldn't have done that. But, you know, I was making posts on Facebook to kind of show off, and even to show my family, like, hey, look, you guys think I'm mentally ill. You guys think I'm a piece of shit. Well, look, I have a girlfriend, and she's pregnant, and see, I'm not as fucked up as you guys think I am, right? But then, you know, that was a mistake, because then she had the late implantation. So then I had to be like, oh, well, she was pregnant, but, you know, but that was the other thing, is I had to write online about, that she was having a miscarriage, or she was having, you know, she had a late implantation and stuff, because I wanted people to know that she was pregnant, to kind of show off and say, like, hey, look, I'm not the problem. You know, I'm not a bad guy. I have a girlfriend, and she's pregnant. And so I'm not as bad as everybody thinks I am, you know, with the whole Katie situation, with all that shit. But then also I had to do that, because I had told all my friends, you know, I told the people at that party, you know, like Johnny and those Jewish people, like that Chris was pregnant. But now she had the she had the late implantation. So I had to let them know that, you know, because Chris wasn't going to be pregnant anymore. I had to let them know that she was having that, because otherwise they would think I was a liar, and that I lied, you know, even though technically I did lie. So again, my grandpa would be like, yeah, Ryan, you were making things happen. You weren't in the flow. And yes, the reason why I brought Chris to that party in the first place, which was stupid, was because I wanted to show her, hey, look, I have friends. I'm cool. You know, that shows I have good genes, because I read that book about, you know, called Mate, about how you should show your girl that you have a lot of good friends, or you have good friends and stuff, even a few good friends, you know. But so, yeah, I might have manipulated things. I might have tried to make things happen. But anyways, like I said, if I wasn't alienated, if my family was, I wanted to introduce Chris to my family, but they wouldn't meet her. You know, if I wasn't alienated and all this stuff, all this crazy shit would not be fucking going on, you know? So then, you know, then Chris is like, you know, she's upset, because she's like, oh, you want me to have an abortion? I'm like, I don't. But then she just, like, she completely throws me to the side, and she's like, you're the reason why Katie had the abortion, and you know, you're the reason your family disowned you, and you're a piece of shit. And then she's like, you know, fuck you. And she basically just, like, then she cuts me off, and then she starts writing online all this shit about me. Like, you know, my ex is a piece of shit. He's a loser, and doing all this stuff. Like, and one of the things that she kept on, you know, she does that black girl thing, you know, that black girl thing where it's like, I'm superficial, I'm materialistic, it's like the anti-religion, like, black people thing, the anti-religion, really ego-based, anti-morality, like, you know, she's like, you know, I only want a man who's gonna give me money. I just want money, and if a man who gonna take care of me and give me that paper, and, you know, she's posting all that stuff online, like, and she's trying to put me down because I don't have money. Now, like I said, I had that $25,000 a lawsuit where I sued the people, the Risperdal company. So I had money and I was giving her a lot of money. Like we would go to restaurants and stuff and I was paying for her, but then I had started running out of money, so I couldn't pay for her anymore. And that was another thing, is she thought that was because I was like mad at her and I didn't love her anymore. And I was like, no, I just don't fucking have any money anymore. And she's like, what? You don't have money anymore? What? And I'm like, no, yeah, I'm running out of fucking money. But then she was like, well, I'll see you, Ryan, if you buy me grass for $100. And I'm like, dude, I'm fucking running out of money. Yes, I used to buy a bunch of shit for you before, but now I'm running out of, I don't have any fucking money. But she didn't believe me. She thought I was making it up. She thought I just didn't like her anymore. I'm like, no, I'm really fucking out of money, But then she's like doing her ghetto thing, like she's trying to be all ghetto online, and she's not even that ghetto. Her mom is a psychologist, but she's doing that black girl act, like, I need a man who gonna give me paper and yo, and being all obnoxious and being anti-morality and stuff. And anyway, she's young and dumb, so things fell out of control, and I don't know. And I'm not gonna go, and I'm gonna leave it. There's a lot more to the story than this, but I'll leave it at this. Is basically, I don't know what happened. I don't know if she got an abortion. I don't know if she had a miscarriage. She ends up claiming that she had a miscarriage, but I don't really know. But she ended up doing a lot more disrespectful stuff after this. But again, after that, she just basically threw me to the side and was like, fuck you. And next thing I knew, there's no more baby. And I can get more into details about that, but I'm not going to, because I don't want to hurt her and make her look bad. But I don't know what happened, but I really cared for Chris. She was a very beautiful girl, and she liked me a lot, and she was sweet, and she was nice, she was smart, but she had mental issues. She had mental issues for sure. Her dad abandoned her probably when she was young, and she had mental issues and stuff. But like I said, if my mom and dad were involved, I don't think all the crazy stuff would have happened. I don't think any of this crazy stuff would have happened if my mom and dad would just talk to me and just be normal and not abandon me. And, if I had to, they would help me get basketball videos. I could have studied the swag flow. I lost the swag flow, a bunch of stuff, but, so it's complicated. It's, and I feel bad for Chris, and I hope that she's going to be okay. But she's a little mentally unstable, but I hope she's going to be okay. And, but it's a tragic situation, another tragedy, and yeah, I probably messed it up a little bit by going online and saying like, yeah, she had a threatened miscarriage, but I had to do that because, I manipulated things. It was my ego. And my grandpa would say, I did calculative. I wasn't in the flow. And, I took her to the party and tried to show off, and then had to lie because they offered her ketamine, and I had to lie that she was pregnant, but she actually was pregnant. And then she did do weed and stuff. And then I had to tell people on Facebook. I felt like I had to, but I maybe didn't, that, she had a late implantation. And then so, maybe she felt like she had to go at me because I had already exposed that she was pregnant, or she had a late implantation. But then she's saying like she's going to have the baby. She was writing on Facebook, I'm going to have the baby despite him. But she wanted to be like the victim and the hero. Like, despite my baby daddy being an asshole and being a broke motherfucker and him not wanting the baby, I'm still going to have the baby. But then, I'm not going to go into details, but then, she ended up, I don't know if she ended up, she was posting all these pictures of her, like, in provocative outfits and stuff when she's apparently pregnant. I don't know what happened, but somehow, whether it was abortion or miscarriage, there is no more baby. So, but I already expected that because she had a late implantation. They say if someone has a late implantation, there's like a 90% chance of miscarriage regardless. And she was smoking weed and doing, but she didn't know she was pregnant when she was smoking weed. She didn't know that she was pregnant at the time. So, it was another tragedy, but, I hope that she's okay. I really care for her a lot. And, I just, she was doing the whole ghetto, black thing. Oh, yo, I want that paper. He a broke motherfucker. He a little bitch. I just like that money, and the materialistic, superficial black person thing that, anti-society, anti-religion, anti-morality, anti-Jesus, all that type of shit that's common in the black community, But, it's a kind of a Shiva worshiping type of thing. But, regardless, it is what it is. And, I hope that she's okay, and, that she will grow up and mature. And, I hope that she never hurts herself because, she talked about being like, wanting to do that and stuff. But I hope that she's okay. And it was just a tragic situation. I'm not going into details, but like I said, if my family was there for me, like I wanted to introduce her to my family, and that was probably part of the reason why she was smoking the weed anyways, because she was stressed. my family wouldn't introduce themselves to her, you know? And it's just like, I'm isolated, I'm alienated, and all this, you know, all this stuff is just a snowball. It just gets worse and worse, you know? And I feel like it's not cool. It's not cool what my family's done to me and all this stuff, you know? And my grandpa would be like, well, you just gotta take responsibility. Yeah, I fucking take some responsibility. Yes, I made mistakes, and yes, I tried to make things happen, and yes, but, you know, things are complex, and there's a lot of layers to this stuff, you know? And one thing that would have helped a lot, and I think my grandpa even admits, is if my family would just fucking talk to me and see me. But they haven't done so since high school, really, you know? Because they made assumptions, but the assumptions are false. It was a shooting machine that was a problem. We could move on. Let's move on, but, you know...